I'm a teacher by trade. Excited that we get to kind of share what we do as an organization with your viewers and listeners.
Hey y'all, it's Laura Williams here with the Hack the Class video podcast, and I am super thrilled to have these two ladies joining us for this week's episode. Well, episode number 2 for nonprofits, which I think they are doing amazing things. I'm going to let them kind of share their story, but they come from an organization called Ed Farm. Yes, I know we were just on the farm last episode, but we are going to learn about Ed Farm, an amazing organization doing amazing things for kids and teachers in Alabama. But we will figure out what that is in just a moment as soon as they join us. I can't wait for you to learn more about some of the partnerships, the tools, the resources that they're deploying and really making some huge gains in Alabama and really in just a short amount of time. So I can't wait to ask them so many questions and learn about nonprofits and figure out how they are hacking the class.
Discover the future of education in this captivating docuseries that takes you inside modern classrooms. From innovative teaching methods to cutting-edge technologies, witness the transformative power of student-centered learning and the incredible impact it has on shaping the minds of tomorrow. Here is your host, Laura Williams.
All right, here we are with Hack the Class video podcast. I have Candace and Emma on the call, and I love their background. They are from Ed Farm, and I will let them introduce themselves and a little bit about their roles and, just what exactly Ed Farm is. And also, where are we, calling from today? So I'll let you guys, maybe Candace, if you want to start out and share a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. I am Candace Monroe. I am head of programs, so head of learning programs here at Ed Farm, and I'm a teacher by trade and excited that we get to kind of share what we do as an organization with your viewers and listeners.
Hey, Brian. As he edits this. I always do that to him. Anyway, Emma?
Yes, so my name is Emma Currington. I am the Student Fellow Specialist here at Ed Farm for the Birmingham area, and I am also a teacher by trade, but now I get to support teachers and educators and students in leveraging technology in the classroom.
So Ed Farm? Okay, first off, love the name. I'm from Iowa, so I automatically am like, oh, what's an Ed Farm? I want to know more. You guys, your website, like the tagline is cultivate change, which I see behind you. And so, like you guys work with teachers, right? A lot of the time. I
So
guess,
we
yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that.
describe us as being a solution for whole communities. And so I like to say we at Education Farm, which is what Ed Farm is short for, we don't grow fruits and vegetables, but we grow minds and innovators. And so we have educational solutions that are technology based for all learners. And so we like to think that we are growing digitally fluent learners, and that means K to grade. There's a solution
Oh,
or
I love
some
that.
ways to type or pipe in to our programming for everyone.
Very cool. So what does your programming look like? How do people get involved with Ed Farm?
Absolutely. And so we are a community-based organization ultimately, but it was born from this initiative through Apple when they were thinking through how do we equip educators and communities with tools, skills, and strategies to prepare students for a future that was ever evolving. And so a lot of people may not know that Tim Cook is actually from Alabama.
Oh,
Um, and we were born from their community education initiative around equipping communities with programming that would answer things around teacher training, student curriculum and experiences, and then also workforce development for adult learners.
oh, I love that. So when did Ed Farm, I guess, when did you guys get started and how long have you been going at it?
Now we're headed to our 5th year. We're gonna hit
Oh,
our 5-year-old, our 5-year anniversary.
5-year-old.
In January. So it'll be year 5 officially in January. I would say February because that was when we had our kickoff.
Okay.
Um, and then the world shut down. And so right
Right.
after we initially officially went public,
So
there was
February 20, yeah, oh my gosh. Oh,
so um that was a learning experience, but for us, it also proved to be
Valuable technology, digital learning. Yeah.
it became very apparent that teachers were going to need support. We had the know-how and equipment to kind of pivot to this virtual hybrid platform. And then we as educators quickly learned the best practices. And that's kind of how we began to get our foot in the door around supporting educators in what was going to be forever changed as far as we know, the learning landscape. And so that proved to be a benefit to us as we launched our company.
Oh, that's amazing. And I mean, really, from what from just knowing the limited knowledge I know of the things you guys are doing, which is amazing, you're doing so much. And really, that's going on 5 years, like it's relatively young. I mean, we've got a young, nonprofit doing amazing things. Can you guys one thing I found really cool was I felt the community when engaging with, people that work at Ed Farm and the teachers that are, learning from you guys. Can you talk a little bit about your model? And the thing specifically I'm thinking about is like, you have these teacher fellows. What does that mean? And how do teachers get involved? And what's the onboarding process like? Or just, share a little bit about the model that you guys have.
So our teacher fellowship has certain hallmarks I think that makes us unique is the coaching aspect. So it is a year-long fellowship that allows educators to work through content associated with best practices for technology implementation. There's a heavy computer science core running through everything. What we produce helps educators support standards that are state-based, so your digital literacy and CS standards, your ISTE standards, which are very important, and then CS standards. And so they're working through a series of professional learning badges that allows them to learn to collaborate, to become digital pioneers, digital trailblazers. We help them become future-focused facilitators, like what cutting-edge technology do you need to be putting in front of your students, all within this framework of how do I equip them or educators with tools, skills, and strategies to do all of this. And so that is a year long. It kind of washes out to about 60 hours of professional learning for the cohort, in addition to access to our Future Learning Summit.
Which is awesome, everyone. Like if you can go.
Like, go on a tangent. I've been to a lot of conferences. And I tell you, we figured out the sweet spot between a safe space to learn and explore and to connect, and then just the celebration of teachers. And so I tell people the Future Learning Summit is the best summit that you will ever attend. And
I agree. So for the listeners, I had the opportunity to go, and it really was a different kind of conference than I've experienced. And I've been to quite a few. I felt you could just immediately feel the culture and the community. And like, I like how you said safe, because it really was. You guys have the space where you can go try things and like learn from, experts. You have like the sessions, and they feel very like, I don't know, like it's not, you get closer to people. I don't know how to explain it, but like it just felt really close. And I love the colors. You guys, like, I will say your events have this like really neat, like people listening are like, what is she talking about? Like an aura of like glow, like because the neon and the bright colors and that was what I felt like, it felt like innovation. It felt like I walked in and I just could feel that difference. And I don't know, I think you guys definitely walk the walk and you talk the talk, but you walk the walk, especially in that summit. So props to you guys.
we think about, what it requires of us to make sure that educators feel empowered to try these tools and to also remove those barriers. And so that's us being a guide on the side. That's us being a coach. So we co-design, co-facilitate through that fellowship. And then we help them take it back to their professional learning communities. The goal here is to grow tech leaders and to grow community around technology and CS and those best practices for improving student learning outcomes.
Love that. What is about 60 hours of professional learning. How do you guys deploy that? Is it virtual? Do you have events, or how does that look?
Well, it's a mixture of touch points so that the cohort continuously feels engaged with the organization. They have at least one professional learning day a month, and then they have access to our virtual platform at EdFarm Learn. And so they're able to engage with each other on that platform and share what they're building as they're moving through the fellowship. They also can earn micro credentials there associated with the fellowship. And so not only do you walk away EdFarm certified, but you can earn up to 6 micro credentials through the life of the professional development components tied to that. So your coach is walking with you through that process along the way. And then we have office hours so they can come and learn a ed tech tool or just get support with completing their artifacts that are tied directly to the fellowship.
I love that. They probably don't want to leave after a year. Like, oh, I need this. Like, I don't want to leave you guys after this year. Do you guys have file? Oh, is that so? I was like, yep, so true. Do you keep in contact, or how do you guys grow your community?
A lot of our student fellow teacher leads, so the ones who work with the student fellows that I get to work with are alumni teacher fellows, and they stay very, very connected and are really, really engaged. And they have that that excitement and that innovation that really drives forward the programming for students as well. And so every time I can grab a teacher fellow and then put them into my programming,
Yeah.
I have to grab them. So
Okay, Emma, tell us about your program, because you're doing, like, I know you've sent me a few success stories, and like it's very exciting to hear what you're doing with kids. What can you tell us a little bit about that?
absolutely. So the mission for EdFarm is to wait, now I'm messing myself up because I thought about this too much.
Fluent
Learners and cultivate change in communities. And so what we do is, just like we have teachers that we're growing and that we're pouring into, we also wanted to enrich students directly, because we know that our greatest resources at our schools are our learners and our students. And so our student fellows program is anywhere from a semester to a quarter long cohort where the students get to do various challenges following the challenge-based learning model and create products for their community. And so we get to go alongside with a student fellow teacher lead, which is a teacher at the school, and I get to be along with them as well as we go through that semester-long journey.
Oh, I love that. What awesome best practice is that too? Like, to learn alongside and have like a co-teacher as you're doing these like innovative things. So products for the community, like, we're definitely cultivating change in that way. What kinds of things have students like created, or what challenges have they, navigated?
Absolutely. So for what they've created, so right now, like, I'll just give you an example of the challenges we have going. So in North Alabama, in Albany, Georgia, and in Birmingham, we have students who are designing and developing an app for a local organization or community. And so, for example, we have in North Alabama in Russellville, a school is creating an app for their Main Street revitalization organization. And so they're going to be pouring into, with that organization, be partnering with them to see how they can add more awareness to that movement that's taking place in their city and help people get connected with what's going downtown on their Main Street.
I love that. I need that in my community. Can the kids make West Union a app for that? Love
Absolutely.
that.
And what's wild is, like, it's an only 8-week long challenge, but the students have 8 weeks and they go all the way from never maybe doing coding before to actually using Swift programming language and being able to develop an app that has like multiple pages and has like features like videos playing and photos and whatnot. And so we're really proud of what they get done. But we also have other challenges going this semester for our elementary students here in Birmingham and in some other locations. They're doing a podcasting unit. So they're going to publish a podcast on Apple Podcasts for the world to hear, the important stories from their communities.
Probably we should have them on here, right? Like, we should have them come on. That would be great.
I'm not going to lie. They're incredible.
For the summit. We had them live from the stage at our Future Learning Summit. So they
How
took over
authentic is that? Like, how, like,
and guests. So it was a beautiful day.
that is amazing.
Max, I really would have brought a couple. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Now that I think about it, that's okay. Next episode, there's plenty of time. We'll get them on here. That's amazing. So they're doing podcasting. They're getting is it about anything they want, or is there certain things they want to talk about, or?
Central question, or like the guiding question, is to leverage technology to share important stories from their community. So I know we did this challenge last semester, and one of the schools actually got the mayor of Birmingham, who's a busy person,
Yeah.
But they brought him in and did an interview to talk about like what he's doing to improve their community, and he shared it there. So
Yeah.
I
That's
love that. And that's
a
something you can do in a lot of communities. How amazing is that? That's so cool. Sorry, Candace, what were you gonna say?
I was saying it was just the effect that putting that technology in their hands, the empowerment that it led to for them to just say, you know, I'm going to advocate for myself. And these are the people I need to talk to do that. So we're going all the way to the mayor and we're going to ask them those hard hitting questions. And so it was
Oh, I
amazing
bet.
to see that occur and those students just kind of blossom. They showed up in their bow ties and their best dress and their
Oh,
and the
and they'll
mayor.
never forget that. They will never forget that.
well, and they were better dressed than the mayor. The mayor came in like attractive.
He was laid back thinking he was just gonna hang out with students, but they were like business attire. 'Cause they
Yeah,
did.
that's awesome. They were all business. They were ready for it. Oh, that is so cool. And they'll never forget. And it's like, I think it just takes it to that next level of like, this matters. Like, I think in school, we often, here's an assignment, and they don't really know why this worksheet or whatever it is that, the assignment, they don't quite understand why it matters, but the work you guys are doing, they can see that it matters and like, hey, I can make an impact. Like this app can actually help people. These stories could actually inspire people. I think that's incredible. That's amazing.
What I tell them when we get started with the challenge and have a new group of students, I'm like, hey, what you're making is not living in a grade book on your teacher's computer. Like it's living outside of this classroom, and what
Preach.
you is worth being seen by the whole world. And so let's get it out there.
Yeah, and that's what I love about the challenge-based learning framework.
Yep.
It means learning outside of the four walls. And so the artifacts that they're creating has this reverberating impact beyond just their schools, but into their communities. I think about last year's group of students here. If you're familiar with Birmingham, you know it is the cradle of the civil rights movement. And so one of the famous churches down the street from us, 16th Street Baptist Church, the kids who were in that neighborhood were like, they don't have an app. And so they built an app prototype for the church, and their choir sang the background music for the app. So they just pulled everyone in to tell this story. They had their teacher go out and shoot drone footage so they could put that on. And it was just powerful to see how they went and galvanized the community to build this entity. And it just, I think I cried through the whole, through the
I was
whole.
gonna say, I feel like goosebumps,
So
like just thinking
powerful.
about that. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing. Well, I'd love to see that. And are you guys, just on that note, like all the stuff you guys are doing is amazing. How do people like, if they want to like learn about these stories or see, like, do you guys share out some of the products or development that the students do, just so people can kind of get inspired and see what it looks like?
Yeah, we highlight those things on our social media. And
Okay.
then when we kind of crafted the story around what we're doing in schools, we tied it also to another offering we have, which is our Ed Farm spaces. And so we
Okay.
like it when a school also has an Ed Farm space, because
Ooh,
imagine what happens to curriculum when you marry it with a space to
yep.
actually bring all of that to life. And so Bush Hills and Southampton are two of the schools here that also have a space, and we're in Green Acres. And so now these students have the technology at their fingertips school-wide to do these things. And so it just brings more impact because they're now able to live this curriculum every day that they're at school.
Oh, I love that so much. Well, definitely people listening should definitely follow along. Go to the website too. I think there's some really great information on there. It's edfarm.org. Is it just edfarm as your social handle?
Yes, there is an underscore before Ed Farm on Instagram.
Okay.
And so, I mean, well, what was formerly known as Twitter, we'll call it
I
X.
know. It's hard to not say Twitter on X. This
Ed
doesn't
Farm.
come up right.
I
Yeah.
think they're also on TikTok now too.
Oh,
So
You're
I
on TikTok?
oh.
Yeah. I'm
there's some
guessing the students will help create some of those social media campaigns and TikTok videos.
They're not, they are now.
Oh, that is so awesome. Maybe, okay, so another question I had was just, I feel like people that choose to work at a nonprofit give their time and energy, and I'm sure it's not just a nine to five type of job. You're putting your whole heart into this. You're already laughing at me like Laura. Um, I guess what both of you, this is a question for both of you. What drives you to be in the best word I can come up with it is a giver. I feel like if you're going to work at a nonprofit, you are, you know, a giver at heart. And so what motivates you guys? What excites you about this work?
Wanna go first?
Okay, I can definitely share. So, there's been this phrase that I just like stumbled upon maybe like 5 years, and it was originally it says like what we make makes us, and I
Mhm.
kind of changed it to what we build builds us. And so, um, when when Ed Farm started, I actually was an educator at the time, and they were working in a certain feeder pattern, which wasn't my feeder pattern, but I was seeing what they were doing. And I was like, this is exactly like, I see them building educators, I see them building students. These students and teachers are now building, and they're building these own digital skills within themselves. And I knew that that was something I wanted to be involved in. So I actually like emailed my district point of contact for ed tech. And I was like, what is this? I love coding. Why am I not a part of this? Like, how do I get
How do I
uh,
get it?
so ever since then, I've been kind of eyeing Ed Farm and seeing what they were doing. And so, but really at the end of the day, I'm just really inspired to come to work because I know that these students are building. And as they're building themselves, and they're building their community, and they're building what tomorrow is going to look like. And that keeps me going.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
I love that.
You were spying on us, huh?
Oh, definitely.
She was
Definitely.
fine. She liked what you had. She wanted some.
Yes.
I think I ended up in education. This is really like my third, maybe fourth career at this point.
Okay.
Uh, but I ended up in education because I wanted to inspire students who look like me to do science. And that's how I ended up. I'm a science major, both for undergrad and graduate level, and I would always be the only in the room. And so I was like, well, do you students not know they can do science? And so I ended up leaving a research job and going into the classroom, and quickly figured out, what students need is this experiential learning piece. And so I was providing that. And then the state began to pass legislation around the requirement to teach CS, or at least offer it.
Yep.
And there were voices in my then school who were naysayers about whether or not my students could do this. And I was like, yes, they can. And I'll show you.
I'll show
So
you.
I was like, do you need a CS teacher? I don't know anything about CS, but we'll figure it out. And so I spent my summers learning curriculum and building a CS program for 7th through 12th grade in my district.
I
And then
love
Ed Farm came across my desk, and a friend of mine was like, you should do this. And I was like, what even is this? Farm. And
Curious farm.
but what hooked me was this platform to do what I was already doing on a much larger scale. And so my desire was that students leave school with skills to actually survive out in the world. I would see my students graduate, and we would tell them, you got to go get a 4-year degree. And that may not necessarily be the best hot type take, but it might not be the best. Yeah, it may not be the best path for everyone, and technology allows for different avenues into better economic mobility. And so that was the kind of springboard for me landing here, just this idea of like crafting this experience for educators and students. And so I started off building the teacher fellow and student fellow programming, and then we now have Spaces, our digital platform. We do pathways to tech careers for adult learners. So if you want to upskill, or you're thinking about being prepared for the workforce of now and the future, we offer those digital skills courses and an adult fellowship that allows you to learn the basics of code and create a craft or a pathway into a technology career. And so that for me is, if I'm in this position where I can offer my community something that leaves them better off long term, then that's definitely the lasting gift I want to give to my community. And that's how I landed here.
Oh, I love that. You're both change agents for sure, 100%. And you are building the future in that way. And I love that. And I hope that you guys can expand this, because I think even just you talking about it, and seeing it come across my desk and meeting Emma, just like what's Ed Farm? Like I remember thinking that like when she was talking about it, and so I, looked it up and I'm like, this is amazing. Do you guys have plans of expansion? I know you guys have a few kind of like hubs, if you will, but what's the future hold for Ed Farm?
Definitely. Expansion is definitely on the horizon. We're in a
Mhm.
season of sustaining, which is like renewing those partnerships
Yeah.
and growth. Primarily, we're here in the Southeast, but looking to expand. I would love to see us coast to coast.
Yeah.
We have partners in North Carolina, South Carolina, South Georgia, the Atlanta greater area, North Alabama, Central Alabama, the Central Six. We're expanding into the Black Belt, which is like that agricultural region of Alabama. And just thinking about how we can support those communities with the content and programming suites that we offer.
That's amazing. Well, you guys are definitely a model to follow. I know, like, I'm thinking about Iowa, and I just think about all the gaps and how, this is so needed. And I love that you're not just focusing on K-12. It's like any learner. I just think that's so important because I just feel like, especially like older folks, I feel like they often feel like left out or not like they belong because they don't understand or they didn't have the experience that young people are getting, in this new paradigm. And and with AI, like everything's going to be accelerated, and if you don't like join in, you might feel left behind. And so I think that you guys are setting up an infrastructure that can better support just people, right? Like I think that's so amazing. So,
Well, and
um,
I benefited from our own programming. So this summer, I actually took the adult version of the Pathways program. And so I got to do the coding myself. And right next to me was my favorite like classmate for the program. And he was in his 70s or maybe like early 80s. And he knew that he works at a Bible college. He's like, we need to get with technology. And he's like, I'll show an example to everyone else on my faculty and staff by learning how to build apps so that they know that technology is not something that we need to run away from, but we need to embrace. And so it really is something for all ages.
that's
Mhm.
amazing. And that's the kind of like that's the testimony we need to hear too, because like, how you just I fear this, like when I get older, I pray I never do this, but like give up, I never want to give up learning. Like I want to know what's going on and I want to be part of it. And you guys are including people. And I think that's so cool. That's very cool. Okay, quick question. On that note, just thinking about the people that you impact. Can you guys share, and you don't have to share names, but like, is there a story of someone that you've interacted with that, you've really changed the path or changed the trajectory or, the impact that you made in their lives? Can you share an example or a story? I'm
Yes.
sure you have a lot. You're like, which story?
So I think there are two. Can I share two?
Yeah, you can have two.
Uh, I call him young man because I mean he is a young man to me. He actually, Alandis,
Mhm.
is one of our in-house developers. He works on our product development team, and he came into our programming through that Pathways to Tech. He was actually on our opening day. He was moving furniture. Like he came in and saw us setting up for our actual event and was like, "What do y'all do here?" And we were like, and someone enrolled him, got him enrolled in the program, and the rest is history. But to that point, it was the access to those tools because there's a significant component of like barrier removal in our adult programming. Like we offer the devices so that you can code on them. There's funding available if you need childcare. We feed them when they come to our classes. We're thinking about that holistic approach to what a human needs to be successful. So Landis matriculated through the Pathways to Tech programming. He received support and coaching. He went on to do other boot camps and accelerators while supporting some of our programming as an instructor. So he was able to kind of like parlay that experience of going through the programming and then come back and support others as they went through the program. And then he came on staff as a full-time developer. So that to me is like, oh, this model works. And this is what
It
he
does work. That is proof that it works. That's amazing.
definitely needs. And then I think about Portress Warren. Birmingham erupted in turmoil around the death when was this? This was
2020.
2020. It was like a civil war, kind of like just riots, and just people not understanding the context of what was happening and on TV and how it tied back to the community, and students were scared. And
Yeah.
so we sit a couple of blocks from the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. And so one of our teachers, at this point, we weren't back fully in person, but she cultivated or created this series of seminars for students to be educated about some of the events that were happening in the news at that time, and how that tied directly to their community, and why feelings were so strong, and then the historical component of that. And then using technology to actually view the city from the standpoint of, this is what was happening during that era, and this is how it ties directly back to your community. And then having experts to speak on that with actual artifacts around those events.
Wow.
And then bringing in healthcare professionals to talk about their emotions, to give them coping skills, to just give them that support. And so I will never forget the benefit that those students had, and just the benefit it was to me to just be in that space with them.
Yeah.
And to, navigate those turbulent waters, but also know that they were walking away with tools and skills and strategies to continue to navigate that, and to just feel safe and to understand what was going on around them.
That is amazing. So like what I'm hearing is a nod to these incredible partners, and also the agility of your organization to be able to put that together so quickly, to respond, to fill a need that was very clearly needed. That's amazing. Well, thank you guys for sharing those stories. I think now would be a good time to just kind of like, with the audience listening, if you love what you're hearing and you think this is amazing, definitely check out their website. How do people get involved? How do people give if they want to support the cause? Can you tell us a little bit more how we get involved and engaged with Ed Farm?
Definitely. You can always contact me, Candace at edfarm.org. There's also a link to email our programs team via our website. And then also on social media, we respond to Messenger on any of those platforms. So just reach out and let us support you, help us, or let us be a solution for your community.
I love that. Thank you. Okay, I have one question and then I won't take up any more of your time. I know you guys are so busy and you're doing so much. I tried to ask everybody this. It's just a question that I often bring up to friends. Like, what is your I call it your educational hill to die on. It's like that, from all your experiences and the things that you do, there's that thing that you're like super passionate about. You believe this to be so. If people are talking about it around the dinner table, you're going to put your 2 cents in because you have an opinion about it. What is your educational hill to die on?
It's hard.
I know, right? Okay, so my example would be alternative ed. I feel like, at least from my experience, we can be doing better. If not gold standard, could we be integrating an alternative pathway within the general education setting? Because I just feel like what we're doing in some of these cases, we could be doing better. But that's like, long story short, just what is that thing that like really gets you going?
One, computer science is for everyone. Everyone, period. And then if I had to say I had another one, set expectations and standards high for students. They will supersede them every time.
Love those. Those are beautiful hills. I will come with you up your hills. I love them. They're very good. Emma, what about you? I'm sure you're similar.
I actually do have two as well, so I'm going to copy that. So the first one is embrace change. And so I feel like in this world, especially now, like the world is moving at the speed of technology, and those who are going to dictate what tomorrow looks like is going to keep up with the speed of technology as well. And so as educators, it can be sometimes scary and daunting. And I feel like anytime you even sit back for even just a moment, it feels like it goes like 10 steps further. But just embrace that change. Be curious. Look at the changes and see how you can implement just one piece of it into your daily life. And then my second piece is to move out of the way of students.
Ooh.
They really are the ones who know how to take any challenge, any project, any product they're building and take it to a level that you can't even dream about. But we have to be humble enough and willing enough to get out of their way first. So
100%.
Mic drop for both of you guys. Those were awesome hills to die on. You are my people. I really hope we can keep this conversation going. I know I'll be following you guys and seeing what you're up to. Hopefully the listeners are inspired by what you guys are doing, and definitely check them out on social. Go to their website, edfarm.org. Check out their programming, and definitely get in touch with Candace or Emma if you want to learn more. They are amazing human beings doing amazing things. So thank you guys so much for being here, and can't wait to see you continue to hack the class.